Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
My name is Sarah and I work with the Living Archives Project, where we are collecting stories of how COVID-19 impacted various communities in Charlotte-Mecklenburg County. Would you like to introduce yourself, Mr. Junkins? McJunkins?
My name is Jerry McJunkins. I am born here in Charlotte and graduated from West Charlotte High School in 1968.
Awesome.
And for those who cannot see me, I am a colored Negro black man.
Okay, and I love your shirt today.
Well, thank you.
It's a very colorful print.
Yeah, artistic shoot.
Yes.
Yes.
So tell me, you are a Charlotte native, which is pretty amazing. You've seen Charlotte go through lots of transitions.
Oh, yes.
What is one thing that you love about your home city?
Oh, the environment, the beautiful city, trees, the landscape, very nice.
Okay.
I did not know the city was as prejudiced as it was until I think I realized that when working at South Park at Dillard's.
Okay. And how old were you?
Oh, I was, So let's see, if we deduct 20 from 70, so that would, maybe I was in my 50s.
Okay.
50s.
Okay. And what did you experience exactly?
Well, if I had a dime every time someone said that I was talented, I'd be a rich man. But primarily, for instance, when I did a nice portrait of this cute little country day little girl, with the bow, blonde hair, and it was on my easel. So I was coming in to finish it up, and sure enough, there were three mothers with the identical looking little girl, So in the store, they have mirrors that reflect. You can look in one mirror, and that reflects the other mirror, and that mirror might reflect what you see right behind me. So I'm looking in the mirror, unpacking, and I saw them discussing among themselves who I was, because they were surprised that it was a black artist who was doing that. I had a display that had the nice exhibits of families, and so I tried to target the area by having mostly white families and a few black, but that was the majority of the market there. So when they saw me, I can tell they discussed among themselves. They were having a little discussion, and then after I finished packing up, and sure enough, they just walked away. Yeah. And there had been a time when I had a nice here when the Democratic convention was here in Charlotte. Now, I did a huge portrait with 52 people on it. You can see it on YouTube. If you type in Jerry McJunkins, YouTube, and the title of it is People of Clay. And the reason why I named that is a verse in the Bible says we all are made of clay. And so what I put in was the historical moment of Barack becoming a candidate for office. Now, that was striking to me because, see, I came from, born here in Charlotte. I grew up when there was black and white fountains. When we would go to for instance, the bus station, and there was a white fountain and a black fountain. Of course, I tried to drink out of the white fountain, and my brother said, no, he stopped me, So it didn't register. I didn't have no issues with that. So the more I stayed in the store, the more I saw even my work. I had a friend who worked at the opposite end another portrait artist. Always got work. And my experience, I have just as much as experience that he did. And but it was a struggle, you know. It was a challenge, and I thank Jehovah that I did get work. I mean, every now and then somebody would come in, or somebody had no issues with race.
Yeah.
And it was true. The majority of my customers were of white, or either of other color, people of color. But they just didn't have any issues, you know, about that sort of thing. And but it was just surprising because some people would stand around waiting for the artist to come, and I come, and then they walk away, you know? Or like when I put up this huge piece of artwork with 52 people in with Barack. Now I had everybody. I had from Lincoln, Barack, Tiger Woods, John Coltrane. It's just people, famous people that I thought contribute to the society of mankind. Now we're politically neutral, so it was not any intentions of having, you know, I'm a Democrat or a Republican. Because these people had Malcolm X. But I found photographs to work from so that, and they all had smiles. Even Malcolm X had a smile. And who else was on there? Tiger Woods, Will Smith, Martin Luther King. They all had smiles. And the reason why Martin Luther King and Malcolm X had a smile, you know why? They were holding their grandchild at the time. And of course, I got Oprah Winfrey. Now, she got these giant grins on everything she had, but one, I found a photograph, she was not smiling. I said, great. You know, just something different. You want to see that? This was the initial article that inspired me to do this project that I'm telling you about with the 57 people. Okay, you want me to raise it up?
There we go. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay, all right.
Okay.
Now,
wow.
Now the one that I did from that article was this one.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I see Oprah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Got a pleasant look, but not grinning with teeth, isn't it?
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're very talented.
Now you can see me, this process. I figured I'd say, just in case somebody want to challenge and say, did you really do that? I used to get that question all the time. Did you really do that? They would say.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would joke and say, no, I pasted. So this is so you can go on YouTube and see me actually do that.
Beautiful.
I got it taped down.
Sharing
Oh yeah, sure, no problem. I have no problem with that.
So how long have you been an artist?
All my life.
Okay.
Well, actually, you know, an art is a gift. You know, that's something you don't have to tell someone to do. Kids would come by and stop in their tracks, you know, see me working. And their mother would say, come on, come on. And I said, no, you got a little artist there. Yeah, he draws on everything, you know. So that's a gift. You know, I just have been trained and have experience more than the average person.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that perspective. So, you mentioned to me that you went to Central Piedmont.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. And then what did you study?
Commercial art.
Commercial art. Okay, and after that, what did you use commercial art with?
I went from commercial art, I went to illustration was the last one.
Okay.
So I have a social degree in illustration.
Okay. And so I know you've also mentioned to me outside of this interview that you did a lot of art in the courtroom.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to hear about your experience with that.
Oh, yeah. Well, that started with, after working at Carowinds for 9 years, left as a sketch artist.
Okay.
Was invited when PTL, I don't know if you That was before your day. That's Jim Baker and Tammy Faye Baker.
Heard of this.
You heard of that? Okay. So when PTL was kind of exposed, a local TV station, which was called Channel 6, that's 36 today, Channel 6,
Okay.
called and asked, was I interested in doing sketching for a course? And I said, sure. So they wanted me to come in the next day to bring my pad and see if I qualify. In the meantime, I was doing research to try to find who's out there or how do you do it, and I couldn't find anything. So the interview was, and the application was, draw that guy over there, and I took my pad and sketched him real quick. He said, we'll pick you up in the morning. And that started my career.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. And how long have you been doing it?
Since 80, that probably started in 87, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Yeah, 87, I would say. Whenever PTL started the investigation, is closed.
Okay.
That started my career.
That's what started your career.
Mm-hmm.
And so tell me, what does that mean for people who don't know exactly?
As a courtroom artist?
Yeah.
Well, courtroom artist is the principle of history or illustrating what's going on in the court when there's no cameras. Like that big piece up there. That's Ray Caruth. You heard of that, haven't you? And actually, that was a piece that during the hearings was no cameras. And although it was a civil case, it was up to the discretion of the judge to allow cameras. No cameras in federal as it is right now. You know, all federal cases are no cameras. So that's why you see the sketches on the news when there's a federal case, like the last one for President Trump. You know, his drawings. As a matter of fact, I know that artist. We run across each other every now and then.
Really?
Yeah, in the sea. And but yeah, that's basically it.
Do you predominantly do courtroom art here in Charlotte, or do you travel as well?
I travel if need may be.
Okay.
But remember now, my main squeeze is portrait. I'm a portrait artist.
Yeah. And you do that here in
Charlotte. The courtroom art is just a side thing.
Okay.
And I'm a special event artist, where you go, you hire me at a party, and I do sketches. People sit down and do them in 5 minutes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's a gift.
That is a gift.
Yeah, I went to one nice parties where these ladies had me to sketch their kids. And they realized after I did the first sketch, they told the kids to go outside and play. I had to sketch them.
Stop it. That's amazing. The ladies wanted, the mothers wanted to be sketched. That is so great. So tell me, you know, after being an artist for so many years, how were you impacted by the pandemic?
I didn't have any problems,
No?
primarily, yeah. And that's because this is how I began to manage my career, you know, and not to sound like, you know, when people talk about religion, they think that's kind of fanatical. No, this is not to do with fanaticism. It's a matter of faith, just like you have faith in what you do. You know, you call people hoping that they're going to get an interview, and you plan accordingly, don't you? And you work in harmony with that, what you feel like.
Exactly.
Yeah, all right. So likewise, now my belief in the Creator, the provider who made everything, right? It says if you have faith, then He would provide for you if you work in harmony with that. Not saying that you're just going to sit back and the phone ring. You have to act in harmony just the same way that you have to do. So some of my friends say, should you get an agent, Jerry? And I started thinking about that, an agent. Well, who would know what I need and how much I need and at the right time? Who would know that? Well, the faith that I have in Jehovah And that's, matter of fact, I like to clarify that as that's Jesus' Father, you know. So he said he would do that. We have a verse, a famous verse in the Bible anybody can read, Matthew 6:33. It says, keep seeking first the kingdom and all these other things will be added to you. Then there's another Bible verse that says, give me poverty nor riches, just enough to eat, to be content, so to speak. So I believe that. So I started working in harmony with that. And sure enough, when this time comes, I would always provide work. I would get the work that I need. So during COVID, some of my art friends would ask that question. Hey, Jerry, you got any work? I said, I'm good. I will have enough. I mean, it's not a whole lot, but enough for me to survive on. And I'm not at South Park. Oh, that's another thing, too. Been being at South Park for almost 20 years, right? So in 2019, I don't know if you've been to Dillard's at South Park. Have you been there?
Not Dillard's in particularly, but I've been to South Park.
Okay.
Yeah.
When they would have special events, especially during the holidays, they would have someone to come out and put a huge curtain up. Now, my spot there at the store was right there at the entrance.
Okay.
I was on the right side. And where they have the pocket doors at,
Okay.
my supplies would be on both sides of the doors.
Yeah.
And then I had some things upstairs, too, in the storage room. Well, they started doing some cleaning up and remodeling, particularly up in the storage room. So all those portraits over there, you see those over there? What's that behind there?
Yeah.
They're from the store.
Wow.
And the reason why, in December, early part of December, they said, Jerry, it's going to be real tough for you to work this season. So really, we don't have enough space for you. And besides, you need to get all your things out of there.
Wow.
Well, I knew that. I mean, it's my age, and I knew eventually I was going to get to that bridge, too.
Yeah.
So I said, well, great. Just help me to start packing up.
Yeah.
So I packed up everything. I think I got an easel and maybe a couple other things, some pastels out there. But what happened in 2020?
COVID.
Yeah. So I was already here. I was already here working.
So you're kind of already, in a sense, prepared.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know it was going to happen.
Yeah, of course.
But apparently somebody did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so is that I was at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
So I was able to come home.
And you already kind of transitioned. You have a studio here at your home.
Yeah.
And you clearly, as I can see from behind you, you do artwork here in your home studio.
Yes.
And so that's amazing.
Actually, I am a musician too. So when I want to play my percussion,
Wow.
I used to play in a jazz group.
That's amazing.
Yeah, girl.
So before we started talking, we did an activity together called a hand map.
Okay.
Is there anything from your hand map that you wanted to share with us?
Let's see. For my hand map, well, I think you ask me and I'll share each one of them. Where to go?
Sure. We can just go by the question. So the first was, are there any characteristics that you define yourself by?
Well, I like to try to be kind to people, because kindness is I want to be treated such, so I try to do likewise. I like to encourage people.
Yeah.
No matter what they're doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then are there any specific journeys that you've taken in your life that speak to who you are?
Well, I think one of the biggest journeys that I had as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, I went to the headquarters up in New York, upstate New York. It was what we call the branch office.
Okay.
And I had the privilege of taking care of a traveling minister. Okay. He was in his 90s. Actually, he was in his 80s when I first met him. His wife was in her 90s.
Okay.
And because of the volunteer work they do, they didn't have any kids. And so he retired here in Charlotte, and so I assisted him to the point that he died. Him and his wife, learned a lot.
Yeah.
So, but for knowing him, that's when we went to the branch, and I met some very humble people, very humble people. They have just good folks,
Yeah.
but in big responsible positions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I also asked you a question about what are some thoughts or feelings around COVID-19?
And what's in a little bit more specific? What do you mean by my thoughts and feelings?
Like how did you feel over the last 3 years, and what did you experience?
Well, we understood that by living in these so-called time of the end, the Bible prophecies, as it were, where it says that it would be pestilence, and so that's understood.
Mm-hmm.
So we just endure and cope with it. We never stopped as Jehovah's Witnesses. We met on Zoom, and our meetings were on Zoom, and our ministry was also on Zoom. Letter writing and phone witnessing, and so we never stopped our activity, so to speak.
Yeah.
And by being a family-oriented congregation, we kept in touch.
Yeah.
We even had dinners together on Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a large Jehovah's Witness community here in Charlotte?
Oh, yes. That's a good question. But here in this country, how many was that statistics on that? I don't want to guess. So but they are.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Are
can look
you-
that up.
That's okay. Yeah, we can look it up.
Yeah.
Are you very active in the Jehovah Witness community, locally and or the greater community?
Yeah, very.
Yeah.
I volunteer as what they call a pioneer.
Okay.
As a person who volunteers maybe like 50 hours a month.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah, so I've been doing it. At one time it was 90 hours a month.
Wow.
When I first started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how was that impacted during the last 3 years? Were you still able to volunteer?
Oh yeah. So we do, like I say, phone.
Phone. Okay.
Yeah, phone,
So it changed
Zoom.
to more virtual.
Yeah, that's right. More virtual.
Okay.
Yes.
And now, is it still virtual or is it?
Oh no, we back to
Back in person.
Yeah, door to door, what have you.
And how does that feel for you? Your transition from kind of the early stages of COVID where it was so unknown and there was a lockdown to now. How was your transition?
Excellent. We're able to be more iPad or tech savvy, so to speak. You have older ones in their 80s and 90s using the internet
Yeah.
and how to navigate through the system. Yeah, it's been great. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then you also mentioned to me that you're a father.
Yes.
And how was your family impacted over these last 3 years?
It was a test for my daughter. Both of them are in the entertainment. She's a violinist, my oldest girl.
Okay.
And my youngest girl is a cellist. Because, during that time of COVID, entertainment, playing for weddings and, she's on Broadway right now with a contract.
That's amazing.
She played for ship cruise lines and work, studio work. Yeah, so it was a challenge.
I bet.
Yeah, but they got through it.
Yeah. Was that challenging for you, for your daughters to live far away from you?
Well, you always want your daughters home. So, yeah, it was something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love my little babies. They will all be my babies no matter how old they get.
Yes, exactly. I love that. At the beginning of our conversation, you talked about segregation here in Charlotte.
Yes.
And then during these last 3 years, a lot of things happened.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with the incident with George Floyd, and then the protests. And what was your experience like?
Well, see, we don't have any issues or problem. We know the nature and cause of such prejudice and envy and jealousy and all that other things. So what we do, we try to help people to overcome that. Now, I was like that too before I became one of Jehovah's Witnesses. See, became a witness in 1975.
Okay.
So I was very, as they say, liberal, you know, red, green, and black, power to the people, you know. I was in the struggle. The struggle was real. See, graduated in 1968, you know, when Martin Luther King was assassinated and Kennedy, you know, people that we thought was, hey, they're going to get this thing right. But that's impossible for imperfect people to provide perfection for anyone, you know. So when I became one of Jehovah's Witnesses and found out, of course now I was a musician. And as maybe some know, musicians have no issue when it comes to race. You know, it's, I mean, we had other means for enjoying life. And it wasn't a big issue. It seemed like that's the thing that's happening now, but we didn't have no issues for that, you know, unless it became an issue for us. But ordinarily, our band were very diverse, we should say. Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to share with us before we finish, Mr. McJunkins? Like a story or an experience or anything?
Let's see. I have quite a few experiences. You all right?
Yeah.
Earthquake. I think the biggest thing is how to live. Life don't have to be as difficult as some people make it. It's just have a common respect for one another, and been able to accept a person for who they are. You know, their talents, their integrity, or just, I mean, you can enjoy life. And the biggest thing that I have learned is how to do that. Because, see, I did not know that. I'm dyslexic, for one thing. And so that's a challenge. But the people as a whole, especially Jehovah's Witnesses, they're everywhere. All races have no issue at all. And they live by this blueprint, biblical instruction on how to live and how to treat your fellow man. And at the same time gives a hope. A real hope for the future to solve the greenhouse effect.
Yeah.
And basically, we believe that God's kingdom, which is the government, is the only hope. People have been praying for that kingdom. I don't know, have you? Did you learn that as a kid? When it says, let your kingdom come, your will be done. You remember that one? On earth. You remember how the rest says?
As it is in heaven.
Yeah, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Now, if that happened, which it definitely is going to happen, we want to be in this struggle. You know, we want to be with this. I got it. You know, either my way or the highway and this sort of thing. Yeah, just be a peaceful new world, and you can do that without drugs. You know.
For sure.
Yeah. Now, you spoke of a journey. I think this has been nice. I was called to do the artwork, sketching of these 10 men. Or actually, I think there were 9. So when I was providing the artwork for these guys, the history, they said, hey, let's add you to the list. Because they didn't know I was a charlatan.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got the drawings and you got some material.
That's amazing.
So all the, let me see if I can find one. See. Yeah, and these are nice. They've been here forever, too, these folks. They're charlatans, well, except for one. Like this guy at President. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, so I did that. And also, I wanted to, sometimes people think that I trace artwork, right? So what I did a video sketch of each one of these people as I illustrated it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, right from the very start.
And these are all
Yeah.
men here in Charlotte
Yeah.
who have contributed to the community.
Yes, I took their picture and went out and brought the illustration back and did the job. These guys here, I think, they had the what was that barber shop? If I may, Nappy Roots. What was it? Brother. Yeah, but this is a nice reference. I was looking for my own sketch.
That's amazing.
It was a challenge to draw myself, you know. Let me see if I can find myself here. And you might appreciate that. Titus. Oh,
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. You even got your hat on.
Yeah. I just should have had my hat on. Here you go.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Okay.
This is amazing. I appreciate you sharing this with us.
Okay. All right.
Anything else you want to share before we finish?
No, I love my family. Love my wife. Love my 2 girls.
Wonderful.
Jessica and Kelsey.
Jessica and Kelsey.
And I have a sister. I have a surviving sister. Her name is Cynthia.
Cynthia.
Yeah,
Okay.
my brother and older sister died this year.
No, so sorry for
Yeah.
your loss.
Oh, that's understandable. You know,
Yeah.
that's how it is.
Well, thank you so much for
Sure.
your time today and for sharing your story with us.
Sure. Yeah. Look forward to hearing it
Yeah.
or seeing it.
Yes.